Welcome. I'm Doug Morgan, and you're listening to Uncommon Sense, where we hunt for the truth in the topics you're not supposed to talk about, Christianity and politics. Welcome back to the podcast, and yes, another FOMO Friday. In fact, this week, this is not only just the end of the week, but this has been a special week. This has been Thanksgiving week. And so you probably are at home, not having to go to work, maybe a little bit lazy due to the amount of food. I know I am. It is, my wife just puts on a spread. Let me tell you, it's the hardest part of Thanksgiving for me is not continuing to eat just simply out of taste. I want to taste more of what she cooks, and it's not because I'm hungry anymore. It's just simply because it tastes so good, and I'm sure that's the case for you as well. But we do have a podcast, and we do have a FOMO Friday, and we have a number of things that we want you to know about so you don't have that fear of missing out. And from a series of articles from the Daily Wire comes this very first one, and this is kind of interesting, especially for those of you that are invested in Bitcoin. Binance Holdings Ltd., the world's largest cryptocurrency exchange, is facing a sweeping new federal lawsuit in North Dakota, alleging that it knowingly enabled more than $1 billion in crypto transactions for Hamas, Hezbollah, Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, and Palestinian Islamic Jihad. Funds that plaintiffs say helped finance the October 7th, 2023 Hamas attack on Israel and subsequent assaults. More than 300 American victims and family members of those killed, wounded, or taken hostage on October 7th, 2023, brought the lawsuit under the Anti-Terrorism Act and its Justice Against Sponsors of Terrorism Act amendment. The 284-page complaint names Binance, its co-founder and former CEO Changpeng Zhou, and top executive Guiying Chen as defendants, alleging they knowingly, willfully, and systematically assisted designated foreign terrorist organizations for years by providing a platform to transfer and launder hundreds of millions of dollars. Quote, from the outset, Binance boasted that it maintained no headquarters anywhere in the world. Its now disgraced CEO and owner claimed the company was based wherever he was situated at any given moment. Quote, wherever I sit is the Binance office. Wherever I meet somebody is going to be the Binance office. Well, the law, and this is what is in the lawsuit, and they said that this is Binance pitched, Binance pitched itself to terrorist organizations, narcotics traffickers, and tax evaders as beyond the reach of any single country's laws or regulations. Now, the October 7th attack left 1,200 people in Israel dead and roughly 250 people kidnapped. The plaintiffs argue that the scale and sophistication of Hamas's assault, including weapon stockpiles and an extensive tunnel network, were made possible by covert funds streams funneled in part through Binance. Well, Binance rapidly grew to be the largest crypto trading platform globally because, as detailed below, it purposely attracted criminals, including terrorist organizations like Hamas, the IRGC, Hezbollah, and PU, to its platform and assisted them to launder money in order to maximize Binance's trading volume and monetize criminal activities via platform fees. That's what the lawsuit states. The lawsuit asserts that Binance intended internationally build itself into a refuge for illicit activity, courting high-volume criminal users to boost revenue while evading United States oversight. It cites international communications in which compliance officials remarked that customers were here for crime and joked about advertising Binance as a destination for laundering drug money. The complaint recounts multiple instances in which third-party complainants compliance firms flagged Hamas-linked accounts, yet Binance allegedly declined to freeze or report them. Instead, warning certain customers to withdraw funds before scrutiny intensified. Quote, Binance not only knowingly provided financial services to Hamas, it actively tried to shield its Hamas customers and their funds from scrutiny by the U.S. regulators or law enforcement, a practice that continues to this day, the lawsuit states. The filing expanded on details disclosed in 2023 when Binance Enzo pleaded guilty to violating United States antitrust laundering laws and agreed to a, get this, $4.3 billion settlement. $4.3 billion settlement. That's one of the largest in American history. Zhou resigned and served a 4-month prison term before being pardoned last month by President Donald Trump. Now, Chen was not charged. As part of its plea, Binance admitted it had failed to report suspicious Hamas-related transactions and had permitted millions of dollars in illicit transfers. The lawsuit goes further, alleging extensive previous undisclosed transactions involving Hamas, Hezbollah, and the IRGC, as well as a transnational gold smuggling network in Venezuela that plaintiffs say funneled proceeds to Iran and its proxies via Binance-linked wallets. One Venezuelan woman allegedly acting as a front for Hezbollah received $177 million in crypto and withdrew $43 million in cash, according to the complaint. The lawsuit also identifies several Gaza-based exchange houses and sanctioned individuals who allegedly moved hundreds of millions of dollars worth of cryptocurrencies through Binance accounts before and after October 7th. Plaintiffs argued the assets flowing through these channels could foreseeably be used to commit terrorist acts, and that Binance's actions directly and materially contributed to violence against Israelis and Americans. So yeah, that's crazy, and I hope that they win in the court of law here, and we'll definitely keep eye out for that. And in the vein of Muslim terrorists, we have our next story where President Donald Trump on Monday signed an executive order laying the groundwork for his administration to designate chapters of the Muslim Brotherhood as terrorist organizations. The executive order directed the Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, and Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent to begin preparing to designate chapters of the organization in Lebanon, Jordan, Egypt as foreign terrorist organizations and especially designated global terrorists. Now, Rubio and Bessent now have 30 days to submit a report on the designation of any Muslim Brotherhood chapters and 45 days to officially designate the chapters as terrorist organizations. The Muslim Brotherhood is a group founded in Egypt. Actually, it goes back to 1928 and has been linked to violent groups across the Middle East, including Hamas, of course. Quote, its chapters in Lebanon, Jordan, and Egypt engage in or facilitate and support violence and destabilization campaigns that harm our own regions, United States citizens, and United States interests. That's what Trump wrote in the executive order. He also said a senior leader of the Egyptian chapter of the Muslim Brotherhood on October 7th, 2023, called the violent attacks against United States partners and interests and Jordanian Muslim Brotherhood leaders have long provided material support to the militant wing of Hamas. Well, the executive order also noted that the Muslim Brotherhood's military wing in Lebanon joined Hamas and Hezbollah in launching rockets into Israel in the aftermath of the October 7th attacks. Quote, such activities threaten the security of American civilians in the Levant and other parts of the Middle East, as well as the safety and stability of our regional partners, Trump wrote. According to the White House, the orders their ultimate aim is to eliminate the designated chapters' capabilities and operations, deprive them of resources, and in any threat such chapters pose to the U.S. nationals in the national security of the United States. Now, Trump previewed the executive order on Sunday, telling Just the News that the final documents were being drawn up and that the action, quote, will be done in the strongest and most powerful terms. Republicans in the House and Senate have long pushed for the Muslim Brotherhood to be designated as a terrorist organization. Last week, Texas Republican Governor Greg Abbott designated the Muslim Brotherhood alongside the Council on American Islamic Relations, or CAIR, we've talked about them as well, CAIR, as foreign terrorist organizations as well. So that's all good news. I mean, this needed to be done, and hopefully this will only inhibit them from doing such activities in the future. And again, speaking of inhibiting good things from happening, U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi warned former FBI Director James Comey and New York AG Letitia James on Monday that the Department of Justice is not done with them, promising an appeal after a federal judge dismissed charges against the pair. Yeah, the federal judge dismissed the charges against both of them basically on a technicality. But she says, quote, we'll be taking all available legal action, including an immediate appeal, to hold Letitia James and James Comey accountable for the unlawful conduct. This is what Bondi said on Monday to Fox News. She said, I'm not worried about someone who has been charged with a very serious crime, she said specifically of Comey. His alleged actions were a betrayal of public trust. The U.S. District Judge Cameron McCowan Curry dismissed charges without prejudice, so they can be brought back against Comey and James on procedural grounds, like I say, a technicality, basically. Now, Curry said that Lindsay Halligan, the Trump-appointed prosecutor who secured their indictments, was unlawfully serving as interim U.S. attorney. Kind of interesting, right? President Donald Trump appointed Halligan to serve as interim U.S. attorney for the Eastern District of Virginia, replacing former U.S. Attorney Eric Siebert. Siebert resigned from the position after leading investigations into Comey and James, but stopping short of filing charges. Halligan was previously a member of Trump's legal team. Quote, we have made Lindsay Halligan a special U.S. attorney, so she is in court. She can fight in court just like she was, and we believe we will be successful on appeal, Bondi said. Well, Bondi also said that, and I'll tell you, Lindsay Halligan, I talked to all of our U.S. attorneys, the majority of them around the country, and Lindsay Halligan is an excellent U.S. attorney. And shame on them for not wanting her in office. The Justice Department indicted Comey in September, if you remember right, on charges of giving false statements and obstruction of a congressional proceeding. So basically, he lied under oath, is just one of the charges. The charges stemmed from testimony that Comey delivered to Congress in 2020 on his handling of the FBI investigation into Russia meddling in 2016 election. The department brought charges against James in October over a loan that she received in 2023 to secure a mortgage on a house in Virginia. Now, James allegedly claimed the Virginia home as her primary residence while working as New York's Attorney General. That doesn't drive, right? That position, which it requires James to live in the state of New York, of course. And James secured more favorable terms on the mortgage, like reduced interest rates and things like that, while the home was occupied by a relative of James's instead. So it was their primary residence, not hers. Now, James made a name for herself by leading a civil fraud case against Trump. The case was widely viewed as highly controversial and unprecedented legal warfare, especially since James she campaigned on leading the resistance to take on Trump. So she said she was going to go after him. She did, and so this was just using the judicial system as to try to go after one's enemies. The biggest thing here is that Comey, his statute of limitations has run out now, and so so we'll see just where this goes, because it's going to be a little bit tougher to bring back the charges, a second time because of that. But we'll keep an eye on it. All right. Good news in the Russia-Ukraine war. Ukraine has agreed to the terms of a potential peace deal negotiated by President Donald Trump and the White House that could end the years-long war with Russia. A U.S. official actually announced this on Tuesday. The Ukrainians have agreed to the peace deal. U.S. Army Secretary Dan Driscoll told ABC News on Tuesday morning. There are some minor details to be sorted out, but they have agreed to a peace deal. Now, while there was some buzz around Washington that Ukraine President Vladimir Zelensky might travel to the United States this week, a White House official told the Daily Wire late Tuesday morning that no meeting between Zelensky and President Trump has been scheduled at this time. White House Press Secretary Carolyn Leavitt also mentioned the minor details in a statement on Tuesday morning, saying, quote, "Over the past week, the United States has made tremendous progress towards a peace deal by bringing both Ukraine and Russia to the table," she said in an X post. There are a few delegates, but not insurmountable details that must be sorted out and will require further talks between Ukraine, Russia, and the United States. The news comes as the United States officials met with Russian representatives on Monday night, so a lot of work going on here, and also working to bring an end to the war through a peace deal with the Russian side there. A spokesman for Driscoll, who was part of the group of officials meeting with the Russian delegation, said in a statement that late Monday and throughout Tuesday, Secretary Driscoll and team have been in discussions with the Russian delegation and achieve and that was to achieve a lasting peace in Ukraine. Quote, "The talks are ongoing well, and they are going well, and we remain optimistic," is what Jeff Tolbert said, who is Driscoll's spokesman, by the way. Quote, "Secretary Driscoll is closely synchronized with the White House and the U.S. Interagency as these talks progress," unquote. The Ukrainian delegation is also in the United Arab Emirates, where the conversations are taking place, and is in contact with Driscoll and his team. On Sunday, Secretary of State Marco Rubio shared that he had the most productive day yet as he engaged in talks between the two countries. Quote, "There are a couple issues that we need to continue to work on, but I think the report today is that today was worthwhile." That's what Rubio told reporters on Sunday. It was probably the most productive day we've had on this issue, maybe in the entirety of our engagement, but certainly in a very long time. He said, I can tell you that the items that remain are not insurmountable. We just need more time than what we have today, and he said that Donald Trump is quite pleased about the amount of progress that's being made. And as for the president himself, he posted on early Monday morning on True Social a post saying, "Is it really possible that big progress is being made in peace talks between Russia and Ukraine? Don't believe it until you see it, but something good just may be happening. God bless America." So yeah, that's good news. We'll see if that conflict can come to an end very soon. And speaking of the DOJ, the FBI, and those departments, the Department of Justice has opened an investigation into um, the the Democrats who and they're being called the seditious six, the Democrats who urged service members to disregard what they called illegal orders from the Trump administration. The Daily Wire has learned actually that the FBI is now scheduling interviews with the members of Congress that were involved. These members are Senator Elisa Slotkin, Senator Mark Kelly, Representative Chris DeLuzio, Representative Maggie Goodlander, Chrissy Holonen, who is from Pennsylvania, and Representative Jason Crow. All Democrats appeared in a video urging service members and intelligence officers to refuse illegal orders, as they put it. We want to speak directly to members of the military and the intelligence community who take risks each day to keep Americans safe, is what the lawmaker said on the video. And here now, I want you to. I'm gonna quote you what they said here, and try to do it, word for word. Now they said, "We know you are under enormous stress and pressure right now. Americans trust their military, but the trust is at risk. This administration is pitting our uniformed military and intelligence community professionals against American citizens. Like us, you all swore an oath to protect and defend this Constitution. Right now, threats to our Constitution aren't just coming from abroad, but from right here at home." They go on to say that our laws are clear. You can refuse illegal orders. You can refuse illegal orders. You must refuse illegal orders. No one has to carry out orders that violate the law or our Constitution. We know this is hard and that it's a difficult time to be a public servant. But whether you are serving in the CIA, the Army, or Navy, the Air Force, your vigilance is critical. Know that we have your back, because now, more than ever, the American people need you. That's what's on the video. Now, President Donald Trump has repeatedly said that the lawmakers should be arrested and tried for seditious behavior, saying their actions were punishable by death. Now, the president later clarified what he meant by that. That he was not threatening death to the lawmakers, but rather pointing out the severity of their conduct. Secretary of War Pete Hegseth has also denounced the video, calling it despicable. Hegseth, who coined the term seditious six, which is pretty good, to describe the Democratic lawmakers, argued that while the video may seem harmless to citizens, it carries a different weight inside the military. Quote, "This was a politically motivated, influential operation. It never named a specific illegal order. It created ambiguity rather than clarity," he said. It used carefully scripted, legal-sounding language. It subtly reframed military obedience around partisan distrust instead of established legal process. And he goes on to say that in the military, vague rhetoric and ambiguity undermines trust, creates hesitation in the chain of command, and erodes cohesion. He said that the military already has clear procedures for handling unlawful orders. It does not need political actors injecting doubt into an already clear chain of command. As veterans of various sorts, the seditious six knew exactly what they were doing, sowing doubt through a politically motivated influence operation. The Department of War won't fall for it or stand for it. I mean, it's pretty good, right? On Monday, the Department of War singled out Kelly, stating that it had received serious allegations of misconduct against Captain Mark Kelly. He's a retired military. Kelly is still subject to the Uniform Code of Military Justice because he is a retired naval officer. So the repercussions might be actually a little bit more for him than the other five. But again, something that shouldn't have happened, shouldn't have done, have been done. But he really can't put anything past the liberal Democrats at this point in regards to that kind of stuff. So. Well, let's move off of that. Sometimes I bring you celebrity type news, that type of thing. Well, let's talk about Hollywood. Hollywood movies just had their worst performing summer seasons since 1981, when adjusting for inflation and excluding, of course, the extraordinary circumstances of the COVID-19 pandemic. Overall, the movies released during this time brought in $3.67 billion, but that's the lowest total, not counting 2020 and 2021 and adjusting the numbers for inflation. The summer began on a high note, even with a strong Memorial Day weekend performance led by Lilo and Stitch and Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning. But by summer's end, the momentum was just completely gone, and Labor Day weekend was a total disaster from a financial standpoint. Entertainment commentators are blaming this on a whole host of problems, with none agreeing on a single cause. But one thing that's not up for debate is that lately the movie industry is struggling in a really big way. Underperforming titles released this summer, which the New York Times described as playing to nearly empty auditoriums, include After the Hunt, starring Julia Roberts and Sydney Sweeney's boxing biopic Christie, and Die My Love, led by big name stars Jennifer Lawrence and Robert Pattinson. The movies aren't just bombing with fans; they're also costing the studio millions. After the Hunt cost $70 million to make, and brought in a paltry $3.3 million. Oof. Christie also flopped hard with an abysmal $1.3 million opening weekend. The sports film had a more modest budget, though. It was only $15 million to make, but after dropping to 900 screens in its second week and collecting a $90 per theater average, ooh, that's under $100. It's safe to say the film won't be recouping even that. So. A lot of the blame is being put on the shortened theater to streaming time frame, which is currently 17 days compared to the old standard of 90 days. This disincentivizes the moviegoers to visit the theater, especially for genres like comedies and romances that don't really require the large screen and surround sound to get the full effect. While audiences complain about the overabundance of remakes, franchise films, and superhero movies, which on the whole aren't performing as well as they used to. Industry insiders point to the numbers as proof of why these are still being made. Original films are some of the worst performing of the bunch, actually, and this makes it a risky proposition for studios to even try. One Variety critic mentioned some other factors like Netflix robbing theaters of films which could have potentially drawn people to theaters, and television shows taking place of indie films and things like that. But in August, an unnamed studio executive told the Hollywood Reporter that they're very, very nervous for the future of the industry based on the results, and said that they don't think there's enough of an audience for future theater openings. I mean, I have a suggestion. How about making movies that have good, innovative writing that don't preach woke ideology at us. Huh? That would be nice. That would be good. Yeah, that might work. I don't know. Something to think about. All right, let's end with some definitely on a little bit of a lighter note. Something that you might want to watch out for. A school in England is asking for the public's help to find a missing teddy bear that was sent into the stratosphere. Yes, with a weather balloon and fell to Earth. The Walhampton School and Bradford Bear was sent into the sky from Lingmanton, and that's in Hampshire, by the 7th and 8th grade students working together with the Southampton University Space Flight Society. They sent that thing up there into the stratosphere, and they put a camera on a weather balloon, and it kind of hit some turbulence when it was up in the atmosphere, and the bear fell off. So they're not sure exactly where it is now. They estimated that it was up an amazing 16.7 miles above the ground. But they're asking if you've seen anything, any kind of video, anything. They would really like to know about it. So anyway, keep your eyes out for that. Would love to hear from you as well. Like I say, right after Thanksgiving here. It's always kind of an interesting time, but would love to hear from you. And now that you have a little bit of time, and of course you can always do that at uncommonsensepodcast.com. Thank you very much for listening.
This podcast is a production of Morganite Communications.